A very good evening and a very big welcome to UBC News tonight. It is the first day of February 2020. My name is Lauryn Masika Kazimoto, and on the sign language we do have Elizabeth Nakakoni. Now we'll start off with our first headlining story this evening. The Minister of Education and Sports, Janet Kataha Museveni, and other top officials from the ministry have inspected and observed different halls of residence in Makerere University and taken note of the situation therein. The inspected halls include, among others, Mary Stuart Building and Africa Hall.
Thank you for visiting Makerere and our halls of residence. About which I'm aware you are very passionate. Now we have 11 halls of residence at Makerere. Actually 10. There's only one for graduate students, 10 are for undergraduate students. Of those, 6 are for male students and only 3 are for female students. The biggest hall is in the Mumba, which will be visiting later, but it is in a very bad state. Here we are at Africa Hall. The majority of our students actually don't stay on campus because we have capacity for just about 4,000 students on campus out of the 35,000. So the 31 students.
It is shared between the University Hall and Africa Hall. Pre-COVID, we have all the students. Pre-COVID, we used to have all the students, but after COVID, we send students at night for in shifts. They come in shifts. We structure the time at which they should have their meals. The kitchen is over there. I don't know whether you know about it. So this is where the cooking is done. We have the stoves. We have the cold rooms. Everything is using there. The lights don't work. Some work, others don't. The kitchen is actually under, it is not under the Department of the Dean of Students anymore. It is run by the service providers. So we don't have much control over it. Mama, welcome to Lumumba. Lumumba was constructed in 1971 and it is named after the Congolese freedom fighter, Patrice Lumumba. This room was originally designed for 2 people and we still accommodate 2 people. The capacity is meant to be 700 students, but now we accommodate 454. And the reason why is because one block is condemned. It is dilapidated. It was in a very sorry state, and management decided to close it. Pre-COVID, there were 2 students. After COVID, we have been accommodating 1. That is our tower. So it has 112 rooms. Mary Stuart is the biggest female hall of their residence, accommodating a total of 625 students. It has a total of 280 rooms. It has a dining hall that is shared by 3 halls of residence, CCD Complex Hall, the Lumumba, and Mary Stuart. When it comes to meal time, students have to walk all the way from CCE to Mary Stuart. However, because we girls are lazy, the majority don't actually come for the meals. Very few come for their meals, and because it is outsourced, then they have their money to choose where to get their meals. But during COVID, we were having meals in shifts.
The Chief of Defense Forces, General David Muhoozi, has assured Ugandans that nobody will destabilize their peace in the post-election era. General Muhoozi spoke to UBC TV for the first time since the presidential elections on UPDF's preparedness to mark 40 years since its existence. The Tarehe Sita celebrations due on Saturday this month will be graced by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Yoweri Tibulahura Kaguta Museveni.
At Ilowamboya Military Barracks in Kampala is a national military referral hospital constructed by the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs. The state-of-the-art facility, raised by the Uganda People's Defense Forces Engineering Brigade at a cost of 100 billion shillings, will be handling outpatients and inpatient services. It also has a female, male and children's ward, a laboratory and theatre facility, among others. Speaking to UBC TV, Chief of Defense Forces General David Muhoozi noted that the construction of the facility is part of their efforts to save billions of shillings spent on armed officers for specialized treatment abroad. To
domesticate that capacity, but also to make it cheaper, because one of our biggest bills now is especially referrals abroad, and you can't take everyone abroad. So we wanted to domesticate that capacity and to reduce the cost.
It will also be open to the public.
It's available for other people other than the military, including, like you said, the leaders of the country. So rather than go outside, we will have a facility that can cater for most of these illnesses.
The hospital is said to be commissioned by General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on February 6, 2021, as Uganda People's Defense Forces commemorates their 40th Tarehe Sita anniversary. Virtual celebrations will be held at UPDF headquarters in Mbuya.
It will be preceded by the commissioning of a national military referral hospital by the President. And then we'll go to the top of the hill to have the President and Commander-in-Chief address the country. The guest list, unfortunately, it's short for obvious reasons, but from Mbuya he will speak to the country, including Greater Masaka.
The Uganda People's Defense Forces has since January carried out several civil military activities in different parts of the country, especially Masaka, where this year's celebrations were to be held.
Apart from its geographical location, Masaka was also key in the fight against Idi Amin. You know, it was one of the axes of advance for the liberation forces, the UNLA, in particular Chikosi Maalum, because there are many groups, but including that one. And it took a big hit. Masaka took a big hit in that phase of the struggle, but also in later years, during the NRA struggle, Masaka was also host to many decisive battles, including the famous siege on Masaka Barracks, Kassim Jagira, including later the Battle of Katonga, which redefined the war and what followed the fall of Kampala.
General Muhoozi called upon Ugandans to avoid negative social media sentiments coming up in this post-election period, but concentrate on their normal business.
I heard they were calling upon the citizens to shut the borders, to places of worship not to open, that whoever would defy would become a victim, and they went into details of how to enforce that irregular message. But I want to tell Ugandans that it's an empty threat. Go about your business, nothing will happen to you. The security forces will protect you and your property. Ignore that message. It's empty, it's contemptible.
Uganda People's Defense Forces commander, the country has successfully managed to pass through an election period with no major incidents reported, and the country will continue to be secure.
I also want to thank the security forces who did their work, still do, to ensure that our country remains peaceful during that time and up to now.
Bernard Higa, UBC News.
Security forces are aware of social media bloggers operating outside Uganda to incite the public to protest the outcome of the election. Now this follows a video that has caught security eye to ban and disrupt business in Kampala. Major General Paul Lokech does not take such messages lightly and assures Ugandans of safety as they conduct day-to-day accomplishments. Ivan Kahwa reports.
Ugandans have been urged to go on with their businesses normally and ignore a cross-section of people concocting insightful statements which intend to promote panic and fear. A joint security task team headed by Deputy Inspector General of Police, Major General Paul Lokech, is tracking individuals persuading Ugandans to cause anarchy.
That we have a very robust force, a very agile team. We are a very resilient force, that our resolves cannot be easily unshaken.
Social media messages are still finding their way on internet in both video and audio forms, preaching messages of discontent about the just concluded elections.
They are being circulated from outside the country. Of course, we shall also get in touch with the host nations through our diplomatic channels and see how to deal with such people.
Lokech advises those disputing the presidential results to seek remedy in the courts of law other than trying to use a detrimental path.
People who think they can cause chaos or lawlessness to the state are making the biggest mistake. I know no country is immune to lawlessness, and we are prepared for this challenge.
In another development, a taxi registration number UAW 775F rammed into a roadside clock along Nile Avenue roundabout. This happened Monday morning at around 8 a.m. The vehicle got damaged at the front. On eyewitness account, the taxi had only 2 people aboard. The driver and conductor sustained minor injuries and were rushed to hospital. The taxi failed to brake, hence the accident. Police later came and towed away the taxi. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News in Kampala.
Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, president of the National Unity Platform through NUP legal team led by Counsel Medad Segona, wants the Supreme Court to nullify results of the just concluded presidential elections, saying the entire electoral exercise was marred with irregularities and illegalities. This was one of the major grounds in their electoral petition filed this morning in the Supreme Court before the court registrar Harriet Sally Lukwago.
We do not want the army to participate again. We do not want the RDCs to participate again.
In the recent general elections conducted on 14th January 2021, Justice Simon Byabakama declared President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni as a winner after scoring a 58.38%, putting Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu with 35.8%. Following the alleged illegalities and illegality by Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, Monday morning, NUP legal team led by Medad Segona have finally filed an electoral petition at the Supreme Court located in Kololo, Kampala district. In filing this petition before Supreme Court Registrar Harriet Sally Lukwago, NUP lawyers say the presidential elections conducted on 14th January 2021 were not free and fair.
We've asked the court first of all to annul the election and declare or order for a fresh election, to direct that the army and other security operatives that are not police refrain from the electoral process as it is an interference.
According to Counsel Segona, the presidential elections were marred with inflated voter registers, election violence, a process which is against the law.
Immediately after the election, as we were collecting our declaration of results forms from across the country, they were arresting, torturing and beating our coordinators wherever they would find them with DRA forms.
Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu also want court to cancel the recently conducted presidential elections and have a re-election that he believes will be free and fair to the nation. Although most of the electoral petition cases have been dismissed by this court following the one of Amama Mbabazi in 2016, NUP are confident that this time justice will prevail, basing on the grounds in this case.
This is one of the steps and stages in our democratization processes. And I think it is the civil way to go. You must let every Ugandan and every Ugandan institution do their work. The voters did their work, they spoke. The Electoral Commission did its work rather imperfectly.
The accused person in this matter include the President-elect Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the Electoral Commission and the Attorney General of Uganda. According to laws governing Supreme Court, the respondents, after being served, they have only 10 days to file their response, and in this case, court has only 35 days to deliver the verdict. Lydia Chomkama, Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Now, Judiciary has announced guidelines to be followed during the hearing of election petitions. The guidelines fall on the heels of an election petition filed by the National Unity Platform contesting the outcomes of the just concluded presidential polls, despite several considerations from other political parties to toe the same line. Now, this comes at a time when elections are almost ending. Details in this report.
Uganda has the structures and procedures in place to enable election petitions to allow for redress when election malpractice has occurred, but this often occurs in the High Court and the Supreme Court. By briefly examining the 2001 and 2006 presidential and parliamentary election petitions, the Supreme Court, which hears presidential election petitions, has on several occasions acknowledged voting irregularities, yet always unwilling to rule against the incumbent. As the election period comes to an end, the Judiciary has come up with guidelines to regulate the big numbers likely to attend hearing of electoral petitions. Those attending court proceedings will be parties concerned in the petitions, lawyers, witnesses and journalists.
Depending on the numbers of petitions that will come up, all judges are on standby to be deployed to handle these petitions.
Karimani notes that journalists covering the presidential petitions at the Supreme Court will be cleared by the Chief Registrar for access. Some court proceedings will be conducted in open space following the Ministry of Health guidelines of reducing the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. The Chief Justice has also directed judges to handle 2 petitions each day. He urges petitioners to follow the law to avoid their petitions being trashed. Meanwhile, celebrations for the New Year Law Day are set for 5th February, and President Yoweri Museveni is expected to grace the function at the High Court grounds in Kampala.
We are hosting the other arms of government. Even the Speaker is going to be there. The Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, they will be in attendance. We are presenting our State of Nation address on our activities. We are giving a report of how the Judiciary performed last year.
However, the annual Judges Conference will not take place this year due to the outbreak of COVID-19. Mutonyi Hilda, UBC.
Alliance for National Transformation Party ANT has disregarded and rejected the 14th January presidential and parliamentary final outcomes on grounds that it was characterized by many irregularities. In a media brief at their party offices in Kampala, ANT has in that regards agreed to offer support to National Unity Platform, which has decided to petition court over the same matter.
For being late.
After nearly 3 weeks since the 14th January presidential and parliamentary polls and its outcome, Alliance for National Transformation Party has finally broken its silence.
We have also received complaints where several individuals were assisted by security agencies to carry out ballot stuffing. This certainly cannot be an election conducted according to the electoral laws of Uganda. We therefore condemn and reject the outcome of this election.
With various allegations of election irregularities, the party has disregarded and rejected the polls' final outcome.
You cannot say that an election has been free and fair when people are dying. You cannot say an election has been free and fair when candidates are being curtailed from reaching where the people are.
At a media briefing in Kampala, the party has vowed to rally behind National Unity Platform court petition.
The victory that will come from whichever angle will not be a victory for me, will not be a victory for the Alliance, will not be a victory for NUP, will not be a victory for FDC, will not be a victory for DP. It will be a victory for Uganda. We can't all go and say this is now another petition from the Alliance. This is another petition from the Alliance. We are saying whoever has gone to court is going to court on behalf of Ugandans. That is why all Ugandans should take interest in this matter.
Party, we believe that the way forward should be one. We shall support any legal means that may be taken by the friendly forces in the opposition, and as far as challenging these elections are concerned.
ANT also wants government to look into issues regarding people who lost their lives during and after campaigns and those under detention.
We are demanding an immediate release of all people who were arbitrarily arrested during this election process. We demand that the government disciplines and prosecutes all errant officers who killed, injured, harassed, tormented citizens of this country.
The sad story remains that ANT lost miserably in all the elective positions across the country, and going back to the drawing board tops the party's agenda now.
If there is any moment in my life I have ever been resolved push for change in governance of our country, it is the day I saw our election being stolen.
So as ANT, we are confident with what happened. I know that most of our candidates that might have lost is not because they were rejected. I tell people that our candidates were preserved.
As per the Electoral Commission's 2021 presidential results, ANT's Major General Mugisha Muntu came in 4th position after garnering 67,574 votes out of the total valid cast votes. Robert Onyango, UBC News, Kampala.
The top decision-making body of the Forum for Democratic Change FDC party will pronounce its next course of action after the sub-county elections, which the party say are very important. The body will convene shortly after the local council elections, and 2 weeks back the party contested results from the 14th January presidential elections, saying they were not free and fair. However, to date the party is still tight-lipped on what next.
Forum for Democratic Change Party a fortnight ago promised to come out with what to do next after disagreeing with the presidential results announced by the Electoral Commission boss Simon Byabakama on 16th January at Kyambogo that they were doctored and will not be accepted. The party said going to Uganda courts of law would be wastage of time and promised a public court, which is the electorate. However, to date, the party has not yet pronounced itself on what it plans to do, citing a pending management meeting.
Last week, but you could not hold that meeting because you had elections, which were going on, and these were very important elections. So as we stand today, I can't tell you anything, because we are waiting for that meeting. Our party must sit and decide. We haven't sat. So we tell you the way forward after we have sat, after this election. That plan B, we discuss it as we are sitting in that meeting. Whether we go for it or we let those who are ready for it go for it.
National Unity Platform opposition party has filed a petition against the same results. On being asked why FDC never joined NOP, Chikonyogo called it a hypothetical question.
I don't normally want to answer hypothetical questions. I think I don't have the the authority to answer hypothetical questions when I'm standing here on behalf of the party. So that one I will not answer now, because even as we stand here, I'm not sure, I'm not aware whether they have petitioned or not. So I prefer to leave that question for the next press conference, where we have gotten some details, or after they have approached us, if we are sure they need it.
The party is now organizing for the sub-county elections, and the tone seems to be changing now that it's encouraging members to participate and also vote, saying there are more than 2,000 sub-counties. FDC managed to get 17 new members in the 11th Parliament, and this, they say, is a big achievement. Accordingly, despite a big number of MPs defecting to other new parties, FDC says the number it has in the new Parliament is incredible. They emphasize that they are not working to be leaders of opposition, but to take over power.
People are writing us off when a big chunk of us left the party and formed their own. We managed to get a number which is near the same as the number we had before they left. Our brothers who, sisters who succeeded in bringing more members, but as FDC, our priority has never been to be leaders of opposition in Parliament. We have been fighting to get into power. This is just a side dish of having MPs and what have you. Because having 100 MPs and having 32 MPs, at the end of this, near the same.
Meanwhile, on the issue of reopening schools and COVID-19, the party's peace, Chikonyogo, advised the Ministry of Health to start guiding students know how to behave to protect themselves from catching the disease, given the long time they have spent at home.
Should have been now everywhere trying to remind our children what they are going to do when they go to school. There should be programs doing that now, so that at least you prepare them psychologically that you are going back to school. This is what you are supposed to be doing. Because sitting at home for a whole year, you know what it means, all of you who went to school one time. Remember when you go for third term, by the time you go back in January, it's a hard time to start again studying. Just 1 month, but now a whole year. And even the parents who had just paid their school fees, and the term was cut short. Now they have paid again for their students to go to university. Government is stopping it.
Government has also been urged to start recruiting teachers because many have left the profession, and this is going to affect the education sector going forward. I'm Nafka Farida reporting.
The General Court Martial presided over by Lieutenant General Andrew Guti has set 8th February 2021 for prosecution to respond to the defense application of granting the 49 NUP supporters bail. This followed a prosecution led by Major Amy Echaruhanga requested court for more time to respond to the accused bail application. The 49 accused persons are facing 1 count of unlawful possession of ammunition. However, they all pleaded not guilty to the alleged offences.
The 49 accused persons who appeared before the General Court Martial include Eddie Sebufu, Ali Bukene, Alahis Nubianidi, Shakira Nambozo, Tamale Ibrahim, Mwanja Muzafaru, Namumilu Fatuma, Namuyimba Joy, among others. This morning, the accused, led by their lawyers in the General Court Martial, presided over by Lieutenant General Andrew Guti, presented 7 sureties for court to be praised and grant them bail. These include Lino Zedrega, Joel Osenyonyi, David Lucy Lubungeya, Flavia Kalule, Freddie Nyanzi Saint-Amand Waiswa Bufumbiro. On this, the accused informed the court that it's their constitutional right to be granted bail, their need for medical attention, among other grounds.
It is our humble prayer, Your Honor, that their prayer as the state or the prosecution be not allowed for the sake of the infringement of the human rights of all the applicants. Secondly, Your Honor, in objection of the same, most of them are family members. Before we came in this honorable court, it's unfortunate that it is small, but we would have filled it to capacity.
Prosecution led by Major Amy Echaruhanga requested court for more time to respond to their bail application, which court granted, although this was objected by the defense.
For a short adjournment up to the 8th of February 2021, so that we can make our reply. So we pray, my Lord.
In his response to the plea, Lieutenant General Andrew Guti adjourned the hearing of the case to 8th February 2021. The accused were remanded to Chigani Chitaria government prisons. After court, defense explained to the media the health conditions of the accused persons, and they assure that in the next court session, court will be pleased to grant them bail.
We all know that between where they were arrested from, that was in prison in Masika, to bring them here, most of them were tortured. 2, we also know that most of them are family members. Their family are still stranded out there because of their arrest and detention here. 3, we all know that because we came for the bail application, it is a constitutional right.
Prosecution alleges that on 3rd January 2021, at around Makerere Kavule, Chigundu Zone, Kawempe Division in Kampala District, the 49 accused persons were found in unlawful possession of 4 rounds of ammunition of an AK-47, the said ammunition being ordinary monopoly of the defense forces. The group was arrested on 31st December 2020 during the No Presidential Candidate Campaign rally, Robert Kyagulanyi Center in Kalangala District. The accused persons were first charged with 2 counts of doing acts that are likely to spread the infectious disease COVID-19 and inciting violence. However, they all pleaded not guilty. Deborah Namamonde, Lydia Chomkama, UBC News.
UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we'll return with more stories. Don't move an inch.
You may have heard of physical distancing. This means keeping at least 2 arms length apart from other people at all times to reduce the spread of coronavirus. But why is it so important? Without physical distancing, each person infected with coronavirus will infect 2 to 3 others. Each of these people go on to infect 2 to 3 more, who each go on to infect another 2 or 3 people, and so on. Within a month, the infection will spread from 1 to 406 people. But if each person halves the number of people they come into close contact with, the number of infections drops dramatically. Each person would only infect 1 or sometimes 2 people, and each of those infected people would only infect 1 or occasionally 2 more. So the disease spreads much more slowly. In a month, the infection would only spread from 1 to 15 people. That's the power of physical distancing. Keep at least 2 arms length distance from as many people as you can to reduce infections and save lives. That way you protect yourself, the people you love, and your country.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back from that break, and we're glad that you're still watching UBC television as we continue to inspire Uganda. Now moving on into some more stories. Despite the long vote counting process for the Central Youth election at Teachers College Mubende, Chirabo Agnes from the NRM party has emerged winner of the election with an overwhelming margin of 780 votes. There was so much support from the NRM party for Chirabo Agnes, including Kabanda David, NRM flag bearer for Kasambia constituency, among others. Among other aspirants is Ritwaula Abdul that garnered 9 votes, Ivan Bowe polling 85, Simon Senyonga with 49 votes, Joe Javira from FTC with 2 votes, Mike Katongole with 78 votes, and Semambia with 1 vote. This electoral college has a total of 1,155 youth that engaged in this activity. One of the candidates from the NUP party was sent an email ruling that he wasn't eligible to participate as a candidate for the election. Only 2 spoiled votes and 3 invalid ones were announced by the presiding officer.
Abiri musatu, abiri munya, abiri mutano, abiri munkaga, abiri musanvu, abiri munana, abiri mwenda, asatu, asatu mwemu, asatu mubiri, asatu musatu, asatu munya, asatu mutano, asatu mukaga, asatu musanvu, asatu munana.
Number of valid votes cast for candidates are as follows: Bowe Ivan, Independent, 85. Kasumba Javira Joe, FDC, 2. Katongole Mike, Independent, 78. Shirabo Agnes, NRM, 780. Kelvin, independent, 1. Senyonga Simon, independent, 49. Zilitwawa Abdu Karim, independent, 9. Total number of valid votes cast for candidates, 1,004. Total number of rejected or invalid ballot papers, 3. Total number of ballot papers counted, 1,007. Total number of spoiled ballot papers, 2. Accordingly, as returning officer for Central Region Electoral District and in accordance with Section 58.
The elections to choose the next Youth Member of Parliament for the Northern Region started peacefully at Peche War Memorial Stadium in Gulu City, where 1,731 delegates from the 4 regions of Karamoja, Lango, West Nile and Acholi are casting their vote. Now, according to the Northern Region Electoral Commission Returning Officer Hajat Sara Bukira, they are set to deliver a fruitful exercise.
The journey to elect the next Youth Member of Parliament for Northern Uganda started at around 1 p.m. Delegates from the 4 regions of Northern Uganda made their way into Peche War Memorial Stadium, where the Gulu City Electoral Commission Returning Officer Benson Obete oriented them.
In case we run out of them, we will replace. This one is indelible marker for marking or confirming that you have finished polls.
The race involves Ochaya Kelvin of ANT, Obal Daniel, an independent candidate, Odera Patrick of FDC, Okot Henry Boniface of NRM, and Young Boniface of NUP. The current youth MP for Northern Uganda is Omony Oscar from Nuya District. But as the country is fighting the spread of COVID-19, the delegates who adhered to wearing of the masks could not social distance due to their large numbers. Youth MPs are elected by the Electoral College. By 4 p.m., the delegates were still on their lines as the exercise is expected to go into the night before the winner is announced.
Now, youth in the western part of the country have chosen their next legislator in the 11th Parliament. However, the polling exercise was characterized by allegations of voter bribery as well as poor timekeeping by delegates, and some of the aggrieved decided to display their dissatisfaction at the city centre, a gesture that called for police intervention.
By 4 p.m., nearly half of the delegates that were expected to participate in the election had not cast their votes. The delegates, however, fault the EC for not providing a program early enough.
They never notified us at the time to come. They never gave us program. We waited for the program since morning. Actually, since yesterday when we came here, they never gave us a program. So we decided to come at the time we want.
The delaying of election was not for NRM. This is an independent electoral commission. It's upon the electoral commission to tell us we are starting to vote this time, and for us we are here on time. And voting started late, but that's not the part of NRM, it's a part of the Independent Electoral Commission.
This is not just an election, it is an election in shambles. People are being bought off very highly. There's a lot of voter bribery. You can imagine a delegate getting over 700,000 to take someone.
But when voting finally started, the drama equally unfolded.
For doing my job. You arrested me for doing my job. Yes. I was doing my job, you arrested me. Why?
While some agents were carried away by police on accusations of non-compliance, others were carried away for faulting the COVID-19 guidelines. Earlier, there was a procession in the city center as the FDC candidate, Denmark, Signologist, showcased his dissatisfaction over the manner in which the election was being handled.
It's true, delegates were hidden by people who have money. And they were supposed to be given accommodation by the Electoral Commission. And the Electoral Commission was aware that those people are hidden somewhere, but never said anything about that. The rigging the votes. We are aware that Betty Kamya is inside here. She's not a delegate. She's a minister of lands. She's giving people money. We are much aware. Even if you ask me to take me where she is, I can take you there.
Youths living with disability have participated in the Eastern Region Youth MP elections at Mbale SS grounds in Mbale City, have expressed concern over what they termed as neglect since they are left out on a number of developmental programs. Youths from 41 districts participated, and several representatives of youth living with disability concurred that many of their friends in rural areas are left to wallow in abject poverty, yet they have leaders who should advocate for their well-being. Other youths who participated in the elections explained their challenges that need to be addressed by the person who will be voted to represent them in Parliament.
Areas that we tend to embark on. The first one is in terms of education. We want to have an intervention in our education system where we have youth skilling put at the forefront, so that at any level of education, if you dropped out, you're able to have a skill that you can be able to sustain your life. If I dropped out at senior 3, I should be able to do some hairdressing. If I dropped out at senior 4, I should be able to do carpentry. We also want to see that the government makes our committees more effective and practical. We want to demand salary for our youth councils as a matter of priority because we need empowerment. Empowerment should be provided to the youth. If a youth or the other youth down in the village is empowered, at least the party will stand. At least they empower us with money. We also invest in projects. You start also like pig rearing, goat rearing, just like that. You start the living, but not just to see us like we are just rubbish.
The flood victims who were relocated to Muhocha camp in Muhocha Town Council from different parts of Kasese district complain over safe water. Early May last year, major rivers flowing from Rwenzori Mountain in Kasese district burst their banks, causing devastating floods and displaced thousands of people in the lowland areas.
Over 300 households that were affected in Kasese district were relocated to Muhokia resettlement camp, while receiving food relief items from the office of the Prime Minister to support them in the post-flood era, having lost properties, homesteads and gardens in May last year. They say water is still a big challenge.
Wakaru webateka wakaru goge mazima osobola kulimirawo dodo osobola kulimirawo kabeji tosobola kulimirawo kantu konna tusaba gavumenti nti batukolerewo bateke mu bwangu tufunewe tugenda okubeera omuntu amanye nti nyinza okulimawo lumonde nyinza okulimawo bijandalo byange nga season njeno tuleme kubeera kubanga okutuwa emmere tekiri sustainable.
The victims say they have only one tap in Muhokia Town Council.
The current tap stand is far away from the camp, and it's only one, which is having biggest population of about 1,445.
The victims have called on the central government to relocate them on permanent land where they can farm instead of depending on food relief. However, Kasese district leadership confirms that plans are underway to have a water tank installed in Muhokia Town Council.
The 300 households would be needing about 5 tanks, but also We need to plan for extra water storage facilities and resources from the mountains. So, in assumption that these people might be able to stay here permanently, then government will automatically, we shall request the government to provide water services to them.
They commended government for reaching them with food relief.
Makerere University lead researchers want government to reopen schools following the community failed implementation of the COVID-19 Standard Operating Procedures SOPs set by the line of Ministries of ICT and Health. Researchers say government has not done enough to educate the youth in rural areas and refugee settlements on how to implement the COVID-19 prevention measures to reduce on the spread.
Since March 2020, when the country went under lockdown upon reporting the first COVID-19 case, despite easing of the lockdown, there has been skyrocketing cases of psychological trauma in refugee settlement camps of Bidibidi in Yumbe district, and no one has taken the initiative to counsel the victims, and the situation is getting out of hand, and many are likely to suffer from permanent mental illness. Researchers say the psychological torture amongst these people has risen due to failure to interact with their loved ones they could have left in their home countries, and also government has failed to educate people on the prevention measures.
The pandemic adds extra psychological strain who were not able to adhere to the COVID prevention measures. The biggest source of their support are actually interacting with their families back home, and that privilege sometimes has been cut short by the pandemic.
On social distancing, the youth still maintain a belief that they are COVID-19 immune, a perception that researchers find baseless, but attribute the misconception to government failure to provide adequate civic education on COVID-19 prevention measures.
Regardless of that information, the knowledge about COVID was being misinterpreted. Unless the healthy agents, those who advocate for the preventive measures, go down there, the level of compliance will still remain.
Richard Balikowa, a principal investigator at School of Psychology, Makerere University, says children can only be safe when at school because communities have failed to take control.
So children are worried of if they go back to school, how it will be, because we have not debriefed them. COVID-19 has just been salt to the wound. Schools are opened because they can provide a controlled environment through which these young people can be helped.
Now researchers have tasked government to invite, among other community heads, religious leaders to join them in the implementation of these measures.
We will be high if the rest of the society doesn't come to the rescue of these children as significant members of society.
The government, the Ministry of Health, need to use community agents to partner with the community agents out there, and those could be in the form of the political leaders at all levels, from LSC1s, councillors going up.
Recruiting more people who can offer psychological support services.
It has been revealed that 2.7 contribute to COVID-19 preventive measures effect on the rural-based school children trauma in different regions. This implies that about 93% contribute to the reported trauma signs are a big interplay of other factors at large. Shaidati Nasaku, UBC.
Shopping needs, come to Capital Shoppers. We have a variety of items like foods, garments, cosmetics, and all sorts of drinks. Enjoy your shopping experience at affordable prices in our fully stocked branches in the following areas: Ntinda Station Road, opposite Makere Business School along Portobello Road, Justice Street opposite Nakasero Market, and Garden City on Yusuf Lule Road. To all our customers and suppliers, we thank you for your continuous support. Stay safe, wash your hands, sanitize, and wear your mask always.
All right, welcome back from that break. Now into our business news. The Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group has warned government against its insatiable spending appetite. This caution comes at a time when the domestic revenue are far below target and debt burden approaches crisis level. CSBAG also urges government to prioritize its spending in order to foster economic growth after a slump caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
The National Budget Framework has estimated that we are going to spend around 34% of our entire budget on debt payments, interest payments, debt refinancing, amortization, payment of arrears, and pension and the rest.
COVID-19 pandemic has had unprecedented impact on key sectors of Uganda's economy, such as tourism and hospitality, international remittance, and foreign direct investment. This has affected the government's fiscal position, with domestic revenues far below target while spending needs increasing exponentially.
I would have wanted to see more investments in agriculture strategically, because agriculture has been given 1.5 trillion. Last year it was 1.2 trillion. So considering the importance agriculture played in helping us to overcome or to be resilient to COVID, because agriculture sector was the only sector that grew, the rest did not grow as expected. We would have wanted to see more resources there, and we are still seeing this business as usual.
CSBAG urges government to give a new lease of life to the micro, small and medium enterprises that have entered the new year amidst a tough business environment. According to Julius Mukunda, the Executive Director at CSBAG, affordable credit will boost business recovery even as the country continues to battle coronavirus.
We have not seen specific measures for small and medium enterprises. Specific in terms of their biggest challenge, for example, is affordable credit, because interest rates are still very high, despite the government of Bank of Uganda intervention, even threatening banks. Yes. The cost of credit is still very high, averaging above 19%. So if you don't address that, you're having a problem.
The 2021-2022 National Budget Framework is in alignment with the National Development Plan 3, which seeks to generate decent jobs, hasten the pace of economic transformation, alleviate poverty, and maintain infrastructure for trade, export, and service delivery. Dennis Igoa for UBC Business.
There was uncertainty this morning among vendors at Nakasero Market as rumors spread that they will be evicted in the next 2 months. Some of the vendors wanted to strike following such sad news, claiming their rights and the presidential directive that favors them to transact their daily duties in all markets.
Vendors in Nakasero Market have called upon President Museveni to intervene in matters regarding the market land, since his directive allows them to operate freely. With the new leadership elected under supervision of Kampala Capital City Authority on taking up office, they thought nothing would disrupt their work, even after the old leadership running away with their SACCO money.
Omukulembeze w'eggwanga ayingire mu nsonga zaffe ez'abakyala b'e Nakasero yatugamba tugulewo SACCO mu katale n'atuwa SACCO ye mwennyini omukulembeze n'atugamba tusevinge tufune ssente twekulaakulanye ye mwennyini SACCO n'agiteekamu ne ssente.
President Museveni akagira ngo abakulembeze bahinduka bakagenda ne ssente ziitu tukantubiika mu SACCO. Omusako kutwagire kuiza baka office bakagitwara Sande twaje kuiza Mande twasanga office yakozire ki bagenze esente zitu bagenda nazo zonna zatwalibwa batuwamba SACCO bagiwamba tusaba buyambi batuyambe omukulembeze w'eggwanga atuyambe n'omukyala Betty Amonge minister eyajja n'abayaye abamenya nawe tuzaba oyingire mu nsonga zaffe.
The vendors requested for lease of Nakasero market land, which has dragged on for over 15 years now. Good news is that the High Court judge undertaking this case says he will make a final ruling within a period of 2 months. This, however, has caused uncertainty among vendors who are worried of eviction anytime soon, and some of them were planning to strike today.
Abasuubuzi bonna bali mukola mirimu gyabwe tebamanyi ebyo bagamba kwekalakaasa abantu baavu bali mukola mirimu gyabwe bo tebali mu nsonga za kwekalakaasa.
Omusango gumaze emyaka 15 lwaki ogusala oluvannyuma lwa presidential directive okuvaayo naye nga mucyo baagala ki nti essaawa zino tebayina bwannannyini katale ako ekitegeeza nti compensation yaabwe ejja kuba ntono. Kino kye bakola nti bafune lease baba baagala compensation yaabwe erinye naye ng'ebyo bintu byonna bikolwa nga n'abamu mu gavumenti baba babimanyi bebabisindikiriza okufuna okubba gavumenti sente nyingi.
The vendors also request the president to revise the issue of curfew that seems to be a hindrance to their businesses. Following a visit from the presidential advisor on markets, Susan Kushaba, there was calm among vendors at the market who managed to operate normally. Sandra Kahunde, UBC News.
The role of the e-extension in agriculture service delivery to the farmer has been cited as one of the key transformation approaches to deliver Uganda's peasant farmer to commercial agriculture. The annual agriculture stakeholders meeting in Kampala, organized by the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, is hinged on means to improve food security and household incomes while improving infrastructure for agricultural modernization. We have a detailed report in this story.
How can we move a farmer using a hand hoe to become a commercial farmer? That definitely will not be possible.
Why the farmers are not changing, we the extension workers are to blame. We should allow the farmer to be at the driving seat.
Retooling the mechanisms of production for the farmers is one of the priorities of the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries.
We are here to look at how we are integrating e-extension into the agriculture sector. As we got hit by COVID-19, the idea of reducing the contact became stronger, and this has pushed us to even work harder to ensure that most of the activities we are having is really online, and that is part of the e-agriculture. But initially, as a ministry, we had already introduced a number of e-agriculture activities.
Stakeholders in the agriculture sector from government and civil society organizations are meeting in Kampala to review priorities to the sector that employs over 90% of Uganda's population. They are looking at strengthening e-extension and market linkages to the farmer.
See how we make the smaller farmers access the markets. And to do this, we really need to carry out a market survey that is very focused, that will guide the farmers on what they are going to invest in.
agriculture touches all aspects of life. And once we improve agriculture, agriculture alone can employ each and everyone. Because when people retire, where do they go? They go to agriculture. Everyone is going to agriculture. That means the government must put money there.
The stakeholders are opting at strengthening e-extension in the delivery of extension services as a solution to the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic, as well as reaching out to a wider public.
We are trying to look at ways through which we can increasingly reach farmers using available applications by working with the private service providers who have developed applications that can be used to reach many farmers.
Extension plays a pivotal role in changing people's mindsets, in changing their practices, in enhancing the way they add value to what they produce, because the extension definitely now has gone beyond just production. Extension has gone into forming groups, helping these groups to produce, helping these groups to add value.
The need for extension is paramount in improving quality and quantity of production, access to markets and farmers' networks, and sustaining the processes and farmers' voices.
And now into sports. The State Minister for Sports, Hamson Obua, has officiated a groundbreaking ceremony for the proposed Kamocha Community Playground. The facility is to be at standards that can accommodate regional competitions.
In a year from now, this place at Treasure Life Center TLC in Kamocha will be transformed into a state-of-the-art playground. This will be after works by Kamocha Christian Caring Community that through various collaborations is setting up a 3 billion shillings structure.
Before, we've been using this playground to help young people discover their talents. I had just mentioned that we have 2 girls who started from here, and today they are playing for the UK netball team. They came from here, but also as we help them to identify their talents, they are getting sponsorships, also in education. So it's a benefit for the community.
Construction has officially started Monday with a groundbreaking ceremony graced by State Minister for Sports, Hamson Obua.
Thank you so much. And they can assist help many more projects elsewhere where we don't have to say. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you so much. I didn't know you had this. You are skilled. Honorable Minister is very skilled.
This particular facility, upon completion, will add on the list of the sports structure we have in the country. But specifically, this one is targeting the young people within the ghetto community of Kamocha. And we are optimistic that once it is done, we will be able to persuade the Meropa Foundation through the Kamocha Christian Caring Community to also extend this same kind of support such that we can move to other parts of Kampala and other parts of the country.
Upon completion, this facility will accommodate boxing, volleyball, netball and several other disciplines to aid the youth exploit talent at their disposal. John Barnes, Centum, reporting.
The Uganda national football team under 20, the Hippos, has departed for Tanzania ahead of a mini tournament in preparation for AFCON encounter due the 20th of February this year in Mauritania. Hippos tactician Moli Biekwaso says the tournament is timely as it will help in identification of different combinations of players' style of play on the pitch.
A 34-man contingent has left for an under-20 mini-football tournament that will climax in Tanzania as the team gears up to take part in the Africa Cup of Nations under-20 clash that will be hosted in Mauritania. Hippos are set to lock horns against Mozambique on 15th, Cameroon on 17th February respectively before they leave for Tanzania. Richard Ochom, lead of delegation, asserts that all players are in good shape.
We arrived safely in Dar es Salaam and we are putting up in the Tiffany Diamond Hotel, and so far the reception was good, and we are going to have the first training, and we believe that the team we have moved with is one of the best teams, and I promise our people at home that we shall produce results.
Earlier, the Hippos played training matches against Uganda Premier League giants, KCCFC, URAFC, whom they outclassed 4-3, 3-2 goals. Meanwhile, Uganda will have to tussle it out with Cameroon, Mozambique and hosts Mauritania in Group A if they are to advance to the next AFCON group stages. Thierry Sali, Komakech Jack, Kizito Gavin, Musa Ramadan, Kafumbe Joseph are some of the players on the team, while Molly Bekwaso is head coach of the Hippos. Josamba Helen Babu for UBC News.
Now we've come to the end of this edition of UBC News Tonight. Of course, do endeavor to maintain all the necessary SOPs to avoid COVID-19 in your community. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto, and of course in the sign language, Elizabeth Nakakoni. We leave you with the weather with Alex Kim Semper. Have a good night.
You're welcome. Here is the weather forecast from the Weather Center, only here on UBC TV with Semper Alex Kim. Sunny conditions dominated most of our skies most of the day today, and the kind of weather we're experiencing is mainly because of the strong anticyclones to the north of our continent, pushing the rain belt far south away from our country. Tomorrow in the morning, we do expect sunny intervals across most parts of the country, and we do expect this to continue well into the afternoon. And because of that, we do expect temperatures to range between 33 degrees Celsius, that will be across the northeastern, to 26 degrees Celsius, and that will be in Kabale Highlands. And elsewhere across the globe, we are forecasting for Mombasa sunny intervals at a daytime high of 30 degrees centigrade, whereas Paris and Tocho are expected to have some chances of some rainfall. That is all we had time for. Stay tuned to UBC TV.
Beauty Parlor and Spa, your beautification destination. We believe in suitable beauty. We offer pedicure and manicure, makeup, hairstyling, plating, weaving, dreadlocks, massage, waxing, facial and body scrub, name it. We also offer additional services like honeymoon packages, hiring venues, and vehicles for brides and grooms. Training interns from different beauty schools. We are located on Uganda House, ground floor 5. Call to book for your appointment on 0702 645 015 or 0414 696 229. You can WhatsApp us on 0752 645 005. Email us beyondbeautyparlor@yahoo.com.
Welcome to English